complex Lexus is the sex, just immaculate from the back. I get deeper.
Okay, so I just put all the chairs and stuff, and then that's good. That's cool. Just make this stay up there. All right. All right. So the second panelist, my homeboy Steve Milo. He's produced for so many people, from like Bun-B, UGK, Webbie, and a lot of people. He produced like half of the new Bun-B album, that Trill OG. So y'all give it up for him, the industry veteran. All right, already on stage now is my homeboy, engineer extraordinaire, producer extraordinaire. He's also a MediaTech graduate. So, you know, a lot of y'all out there gonna try to be being like this guy at the end. Give it up for my homie, MouseQuake. All right, and last we got my big bro in the industry. He's produced joints for Eminem, Kanye, Jay-Z, Beyonce. I mean, the list goes on and on. A great producer, but an even better person. Give it up for S1, please. Okay, what would you say, like, you know, that first time, I guess, where you said, hold up, I love this, but now I can actually get paid for this. Do you remember, like, your first pay, whether it was big or small, or like a point where you remember, like, man, I got paid for something I love to do?
Yeah, I remember actually being in, you know, everybody know I'm from Waco. I remember being in Waco, and me and my good friend, OneSelf, Verbal C, you know, we was producing together, and he had an SP1200, that's the SP1200 I was using. But I remember us starting to sell tracks around the Oasis locally in Waco, and you know, we were selling tracks for $50, $100, depending on, you know, whatever people had, you know. So, you know, I think it was at that point where I really started to, you know, see that this is something that I can actually make a living. You know, if I just continue to keep progressing in what I do and continue to be strategic in how I market myself and brand myself, that I can actually make a living doing this. So I guess from that point, it just was a steady progression, and you know, just evolving into the producer that I am now.
I think I got like, oh wow, I think I got like $250 per beat. I did like 5 beats on his album. And you know, like then, college student, you getting $250 a beat. You like, whoa. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it was funny though, because you know, right after I got the check, I'm riding down the street. So WG ends up pulling up beside me on the side of my car. He's like, hey man, you cashed that check yet? I'm like, yeah, I deposited, yeah. Man, I told you to wait. I'm like, no, dude, that's on you, man. I already put that check in the bank. Cause, you know, I told my dad about it. He said, go put that check in the bank right now.
I say my first time making money off of music was here recently, maybe like a year ago. I landed a placement. One of my friends in Atlanta was working at the studio, and he ran across the guy, Two Pistols, and he ended up playing one of my beats, man. So, you know, the guy, you know, he laid a track to it, you know, hit us up with the paperwork, and, you know, all the money and all that good stuff. And pretty much later on down the road, he ended up adding 2 chains to it, man. So, I mean, it was a nice little piece of chain. It wasn't nothing crazy, you know what I mean? I thought he was gonna mixtape the joint, which he did, you know what I mean? And it never really went on the album or anything, so I didn't see anything else from it. Maybe like a few spins off the radio, which was that crazy. But man, that was my start in knowing that I could make money off of, you know, doing music. You know what I mean?
So I got to walk down the hall, and it was Fife from a Tribe Called Quest. And I played a couple tracks. He said, yeah, man, we like that. Let me go get T. I'm like, who was T? You know, I'm 14. We all about the same age anyway. It was Q-Tip. So they bought my track for $500. Now, 14 years old, $500. A lot of tater chips, a lot of Kool-Aid, you know. And I got the track. My track never made the record, but coincidentally, they shouted me out on the back of the record. And that was my claim to fame for a long time.
It's like, man, how much? And that's when the light bulb went on. So I was just like, I mean, the dude was broke, man, like for real. I was like, 50? He was like, oh, really, man?
you crazy, man, I'm gonna give you more than that. We can do it for the 50. I was like, damn. But I was like, okay, cool, so how many do you want to do? So I did this whole project, got about $500, and then from that point, like, I just started really making a business out of it. And that was about 03 when I sold my first one, and, you know, been selling them since then. And, you know, basically, it was the first question, is a producer fee still relevant, or should we just take points on the back end? Answer it quick.
Yes, a producer's fee is still relevant. Anything you do, well, when you're at the point where you can start making, when you have a name for yourself and you built your brand up to a certain point, when you're able to create a demand for your work and your services, then you should always have a fee. There should never be a situation where you don't have a fee, unless it's a situation where you have a relationship with a certain individual. And then in those cases, it may be, okay, I'm gonna waive the fee, we're just gonna make it on the back end. But waiving that fee, you gotta always realize that you're not guaranteed a back end, period. So always get what you can on the front end, because that's your guarantee, that what you're gonna get on the front end, because you may not have a guaranteed back end. So always remember that. And also, like if you're doing something for a major artist, then that's another reason why you can sometimes waive the fee or get less of a fee, because you know they're about to sell $1 million or $2 million, you're gonna get some on the back end. But for most cases, no, you should always get a fee on the front end.
Yeah, I totally agree real quick, and I can kick it to you below, because you just have to gauge it case by case. Like, let's just say a lot of the artists you work with, let's just say it's MC Willie Fufu, for example, and he comes up to you and he's like, hey man, say bro, you know how a lot of the artists do, man, we get this money together, bro. Like, say, bro, so we can do this, man. When I blow, you blow, bro. And just to be totally honest, yeah, you know, it's like you gotta gauge it. Like, of course, if it's a Beyonce thing, I mean, up front, whatever, we know she gonna make the bread. But like, you know, up front, even if the artist is talented, you have to get paid in those instances for your services up front. You know, hope for the best on the back end. So.
And even if you do get something on the back end, sometimes there's no telling when you're gonna see that. It could be 3 years. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I waited 4 months on advance checks. So just think how long you gonna wait for the back end. You know, and then you gotta, if you wait long enough, then you're gonna get ticked off, and then you gotta get attorneys involved. So if that advance is there to be gotten, you need to get it. You know, and then you know you take care of the rest of it later. But if it's there up front, get it.
The other question was, when should I start charging for a track? I think initially, what you want to do is really build your brand. Let's just say if you are on Twitter and you're selling beats for $5. I saw $5 everything was going to beat sale, I promise you. And so when you do that, you are devaluing your art. People aren't looking at you like, you know, like you would want them to look at you. You're going to be the $5 producer. So I think
start charging right away. Be honest. Attach something to it. Whether this is an indie, you know what I mean? This is the pricing for indie people, or this is the pricing for major labels, really, at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's definitely all about branding, like J.Rhodes was saying. You have to get to a point where you're constantly progressing and building a brand. Like, 10 years ago, I definitely couldn't sell a track for what I can sell a track now. The reason why is because the work in between, the people I work with in between, the projects I've been on in between. So realizing that, what you have to do is just notice that you have to build that. You have to build. It's just like your resume. Any job that you go and you trying to get a job, you're gonna give them your resume. Yeah, you're gonna fill out an application. You're gonna give them your resume. Your resume basically tells your work history, what you've done, your skills. So basically, that's what it is. Your discography is your resume. So continue to build your resume up. Continue to build your discography. And then as you continue to build that, your value increases.
Do some kind of paperwork with them and say, hey, okay, I'll give you these tracks for your mixtape. But, you know, if you get a deal Or, you know, if you record an album that, you know, that has a budget and that you're going to publicly release, then I need to be guaranteed 2 or 3 placements on that album, or pay for the tracks that I put on your mixtape. You know, if they're going to do the mixtape thing and give it away for free, then that's a good way to put yourself out there. But at the same time, you can protect yourself too, because it depresses me to see these artists use these producers on these mixtapes, and then when they drop a real album, they use none of them. I think that is so bad. You know what I'm saying? It hurts me in my heart to see producers get done like that, but it happens every day. So there's little stuff you can do like that. You know what I'm saying? Pay a lawyer $500 to draw you up one or 2 page contract and bring it to them. And if they're really serious about, you know, doing what they're doing, then they won't mind signing it.
As you're trying to get these placements and you're trying to come up, how do you guard yourself against potential theft of your work? Like, I know it's kind of like, especially as an up-and-coming producer, when you don't have any outlets, like, it's a lot of emailing to, you know, sometimes you just kind of shoot in the dark when you're starting, like, okay, I gotta send it to this email or this person, or give it to this person just in hopes that something can happen. So, on the come up, and even now, as y'all are established in this industry, what do you do to guard against your work, and can it be completely protected?
If you have, say, a guy says, I want to buy some tracks from you, where can I get some? Can you send me some? That answer should be no. The next question should be, when can you come by and holler at me? When can we sit down and talk? Because I don't know about everybody else, but I'm a vibe person, and if you trust that spiritual being inside you, the bell will go off if you're going to get shook or you're going to get took.
Everything I send out to anybody, I always CC my attorney on it. So he has a copy of it, of course, the timestamp of when it's sent, you know, everything. So right there, that's the first form of protection. Second thing is like J.Rhodes was just saying, just having that physical DNA of it, you know.
Come on, Jim. Please forgive me. I didn't mean to hold you this moment. But let me leave you by saying I'm not playing. 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 I'm not playing.
If I gave you my love,
sampling thing.
In my